silent crowd, isn't it? Don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, where are the Element Mystic supporters today? There we go.
There they are.
Atlanta, all right. They are the invaders here. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not surprised at all, because if you're a Korean fan, if you are a Korean national here, you don't want to see any of your teams go down whatsoever.
We'll have to see if they can accomplish that. Element Mystic just having a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's correct as well, by the way. Element Mystic are actually Korean C2 and Genji C3, but point still stands. You know,
you can beat C2.
You go from 2 to 1 after this if you can win. And EM now rolling out. Doha is actually on the Sombra. Are you kidding me? This is for real.
Maybe that's the trick. You got to circumvent C3, but yeah, that's a spicy start, and already Sparkle finds his way onto Kodak. Has been somewhat traded out without Sugar Free in the mix. Atlanta Academy, Saucy gonna have to do all the work himself. So just jostling over the point for now.
It's honestly a bit of a risk for EM, but we'll see how this opening fight turns out. 1 second until the control point opens, and well, 2 members down for EM.
There you have it. Despite the even numbers, despite only having the 1 DPS, Sugar Free is back with the team now as the respawns have come through. But that's a nice opening fight there for Atlanta to get the point.
Oh, EM now on the bounce back, 58% for Doha. Feels like we're watching Pacific Showdown all over again. How fast can he get this EMP? That is his bread and butter, but there's a lot of shields to get through.
And that was such a highlight of the Pacific Showdown. So, Atlanta Academy, can you at least prove that you could have won that showdown? Who's to say? But unique early kill on Gator. Not sure how that one works out, but at any rate, Hawk down as well means no tank line. Element Mystic can have no trouble picking up these squishier members, and EMP preserved is really interesting to me. Atlanta Academy are going to have to fight into that for the next push.
And definitely slower than Doha's usual path, or in terms of how quickly he gets to EMP. We got this in about, what, a fight and a half, if you really count, because this opening skirmish did take a while, and Doha got about 30% there. So EM now just kind of fighting up. 36% is what Atlanta lead by so far. And another thing you have to watch out for, question answered, Gator on the Orisa, Hawk on the Sigma. You may be wondering why, but this is the standard for roles for Atlanta Academy.
There it is, EMP out catches 4 members, but double support ultimates means Atlanta Academy aren't going to get completely thrown out of the game already. Supercharger from Gator as well. Alpha has chosen not to match with Hanbin Dead. I think that is a sensible call. Just looking to accrue some more percentage points as Atlanta Academy are now making their way down to the point itself, trying to force the rest of Element Mystic off it. A little bit of a harder task than I think they were expecting, but now as they have the position, they're able to pick up the kills. They should be flipping this point back in their favor in a moment.
And they survived the EMP most importantly. That's such a big deal for Atlanta because now they have a lot of ultimates still available. You have to often consider if you get EMP'd as a team, you really should be able to win those fights. So coming from behind, having that recovery, getting some staggered kills on late Element Mystic retreating members is just going to help them now even up this control point percentage.
By the way, Doha being on the Sombra has kind of overshadowed the other main talking point we consider had going into this. Gator is of course on the main tank. He's playing the Orisa. He's actually
mention that one a little
Sigma
earlier as well, and that's the fact that, you know, he is the main tank for this team. Hawk is meant to be the flex tank for this team, so there it is.
Sparkle found his counterpart, so this should be a pretty easy walk-in now for Element Mystic, but Atlanta Academy aren't going to make it easy for them. In fact, if they can finish off one of these DPSs who aren't exactly the healthiest, they could still make some headway here. Sparkle low, but Harbin has Sugar Free, who's freshly respawned as well in the Gravitic Plugs, and that is going to take a while. It's a long fight, but again, it's one Element Mystic win.
You heard what Sparkle said earlier. Harbin is a beast on the Sigma. And that's been true throughout the entire tournament. You look at Group A, Harbin was a big player on that squad. NA fans right now thinking, oh boy, can Gator just go Sigma? Well, we'll see what happens. Atlanta are not out of this just yet. They actually still lead in terms of percentage points. Could be still very competitive, but there is another EMP.
There it is. This time there isn't the defensive ultimate. Funny, Astro got hit by that EMP, which means no sound barrier. So Doha, nicer angle on that one. Just a little bit cleaner, evening up the percentage now here before the next fight.
It's been back and forth, but the problem now is EMP has been expended, and unlike last time where Doha charged another 60% after using EMP, now he's starting from scratch. He's got to build that one all the way back up. Atlanta know they have an opening, and they know they got to go now.
They don't have a whole lot to work with, but it might just be enough. Sound barrier ends up having to come out to save Saucy. Now Sparkle and Sugar Free both going for the Meteor Strike. Landing on down, Sparkle's already found the connection. Sugar Free no such luck, and with that sound barrier, he's going to have a hard time fragging out. Instead, he goes down, and they're not even on the point as the 100% ticks over. Element Mystic taking the fight to Atlanta Academy, securing the first round of Busan.
Not just Sugar Free, but also contest-free in some ways. Right towards the end, you saw the point just completely open up
So
in
the whole
Atlanta.
team isn't free.
Let's hope NA isn't free this tournament either. Korea looking like it's a decent start already. 1 round taken for them. Let's not count anybody out for sure. I mean, Atlanta Academy, I am expecting more. I am expecting throughout this entire series, even if they lose map 1, even if whatever happens here, they got to bounce back. There's no 3-0s here. I'm going to say it right now. It's just not going to be a 3-0.
All right. Hopefully you can not have to eat those words. I'm
agree. Hungry. I got an appetite,
Yeah,
man.
I
Keep
know.
feeding me. I'll eat anything within reason.
But I do agree. I don't want to see that 3-0 either. I want this to be a hearty series, no matter how it falls. If it's a loss for NA, you've got to say you'd want it to be close if you're an NA fan, which I imagine a lot of people are.
EM is playing in a different meta right now. They got Doa still on the Sombra, but they got a decent start, a lot of damage, sugar-free. Bye-bye.
Nice hack on him allows them to pick him off, but it's traded out again. In the absence of sugar-free, Saucy is actually putting in a good amount of work. He did this back on Mecha base, and we see Atlanta Academy with a favorable position as they rotate back onto the point.
Atlanta Academy looking to get this first contest already. A little bit Mystic looking at Doha. He just is struggling somewhat to get this EMP charge up, but the brawl is still happening.
Certainly not as easy as it used to be for the lad. And they did play the Sombra Doofus back in the GOATS days before 2-2-2. Like they effectively played a kind of 2-2-2 composition and had success on it. So you see that success being replicated now, but more on the back of Sparkle and his incredible Doomfist.
And also, if you look at Doa's role right now, it's very different to what EM was showing at the showdown, where, okay, we're charging a fast EMP, still pretty quick, by the way. We're just going to use EMP to overwhelm a bunch of tanks and win. He's playing much more of a skirmish style now, where he's looking for extra damage on players like Hawk. He's looking at the hacks on players like Hawk and really disrupt the ability to put the shields up. Remember, if you hack a Sigma now, he loses the shield.
So once again, Atlanta Academy find themselves pushing into an EMP.
Oh boy.
Doha is 1-1 with those, but might not actually need to use it this time with that early pick. And now Unique getting to finish off on Sugar Free. I honestly think this is a one and done here for Element Mystic on the defense, and a crucial one as well, because they've actually allowed themselves to charge up other ultimates aside from the EMP.
Element Mystic have priority on the fight as well in terms of having the ultimate available for the EMP. That's the big one. There it comes. 4 members.
Yeah, all right. They want to go for it, but unfortunately Doha gets hit out of the skies by Sugar Free. Good trade off by picking up Gator, but Sugar Free feels it. He's looking to get in the back line. Slam dunk down on the ground though, and Hanbin will get the finish off. And this has already become an incredibly chaotic fight as it unfolds. Atlanta infesting the sound barrier. They feel that they can still do this with just Saucy, but he's low. Mikey picked off here, is going to get finished off, and Element Mystic just kind of leaning back into that supercharger proves to be enough for them to continue holding.
And you're wondering right now, how is this Sombra working? Is Sombra viable in this meta? The answer is no. The answer is no unless you have Doa on your team. The answer is no unless you are Element Mystic, because they are one of the most practiced Sombra teams in the entire world. They're one of the teams that have one of the best Sombras in the entire world. There's only one team really in this tournament that maybe makes this work, and you're looking at them.
It's the thing that's so bizarre, right? Back in the day when we saw this out of Element Mystic, we talked about how the Doomfist was kind of the odd one out in the meta. The Sombra was expected. Now it's the other way around. We get to talk about how unprecedented this is, that Doha is able to be somewhat successful on the Sombra in this meta. Another hack on Sugar Free, keeping him out of action. Sparkle, on the other hand, gets to operate unimpeded rather. Still no kills either way just yet, as this EMP is primed.
And it is looking very hot and ready. That's 5 members.
Oh, man. Kodak at least had that Coalescence out first, but nowhere near enough to allow the team to survive, not without other escape tools. Look, Mega Base might have been a little bit close, a bit more back and forth, but 100-0 shut out. Atlanta Academy just couldn't find their way past the Sombra.
And this is something maybe they haven't prepared for, and I wouldn't be surprised by that. Also,
Why would you?
No team would really be preparing for a Sombra, because no team you're scrimming against is going to be using a Sombra. Where you're supposed to get this practice. Yes, I understand Atlanta Academy have a lot of experience scrimming against Overwatch League teams back in North America, but who in the world is going to give you the Sombra practice? Not a single one of those teams, because none of them are playing it right now. So Element Mystic have just got a 900 IQ, 5-headed their way into this series by bringing out a trump card that ATL is not prepared for.
Well, look, that was just the one map, and now Atlanta Academy at least have an opportunity to maybe take a break and figure out what to do about the Sombra. They can talk about it a little bit, because that was not at all expected, and it's hurt them dearly. They can't let that happen twice in a row. Let's see if they turn it around right after this break. Welcome back from that brief break, ladies and gentlemen, where we find ourselves on the cusp of continuing this somewhat unprecedented series. And I say unprecedented not because any of these teams being here is a surprise, but because of what we've seen out of these teams so far.
And it just means the meta is still developing. It just means we haven't quite put a lid on what the possibilities are. And I want to highlight something. This is really crazy because I just checked Doa's stats on the Sombra. He's got a average time to build his ultimate of EMP, 1.1 minute and 10 seconds.
Wow.
EMP efficiency, 4.25. He's hitting at least 4 people most of the time, and he's getting about a minute.
That's pretty impressive and is somewhat what he was known for. Question is, of course, does it actually continue being a thing for Element Mystic here? Is that just a control strat? I think there's a reasonable chance that it is, just with how it works. But moving forward now onto Icon, it is Atlanta Academy's pick. Second time in a row they're having to pick the map here. And I'm curious as to what now Element Mystic pull out. Do they just pull back to the Reaper Doomfist? Do they have more in the pocket? Because we do also know Sparkle's Pharah is a possibility.
Well, that's the thing. That's another facet of this team that we're waiting for. And if they don't want to run the Sombra anymore, they can go back to Standard. There's now so many different things that Element Mystic can still pull out that could be effective. We're waiting also to see Atlanta. What have they got to show here? Do they have a Pharah that can really step up to the plate? Are they going to keep running Doom Reaper? We'll see. Fighting, they certainly are. Tell you what, Pixie,
Come on,
Academy,
Academy.
mostly defending.
Yeah.
I have to say in this particular game, defending their NA pride be one part of that. I suppose Korea are doing the exact same thing, thinking about that.
Oh yeah, we sort of touched on that earlier, right? Like, you don't actually want to be the only Korean team to like lose to an NA team. In fact,
And certainly not the first.
Yeah, no Korean team has actually lost so far this tournament, except for Gen G just earlier losing only to another Korean team. So, like, Element Mystic definitely don't want to be the first, and they are on track to make that a reality.
And this is where I'm looking at Sugar Free a lot, because he is the designated projectile DPS player for
you were
his
going to
team.
say because you're going on a diet or something, but that makes sense. Yeah,
He's a designated dietary option for young
you got to have
men in
you got to have
2019.
a regular DPS and a sugar-free DPS. For
The
those,
decaf.
those people on the decaf DPS.
Well, it's going to be Sparkle and Sugar Free again, and we saw them Doomfist on Doomfist.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Pharah versus Pharah here as well. Doha starting out on the Bastion, and we haven't seen too much of Element Mystic's Bastion, so this is going to be interesting.
Oh!
Speaking of interesting,
Very interesting indeed, and now knowing that Unique is going to go for the res, nice Immortality Field though allows Unique to slip out of that one alive. Very clean from MCD, recognizing that that was going to be the next priority target for Atlanta Academy.
and extremely important that Sparkle is still in the mix, because that kind of mistake will get punished so heavily if Element Mystic do not have all 6 members alive. And what they do miss now is they don't have the Immortality Field, which means Atlanta Academy are going to go in deep.
Atlanta Academy have also been able to make this rotation versus Sparkle. That being said, now Sugar Free goes down to Sparkle. It's a little bit rough for Atlanta Academy, despite, you know, a few Fistal's down. Now Funny Astro were not able to go for that res as Unique was earlier, so Atlanta Academy 4 versus 6 here. Don't really see them lasting all that long.
And the timing as well for MCD, the Immortality Field came up just in time when Atlanta Academy were trying to make their move in, so EM just in their position now. Sparkle cleaning up Sugar Free in the skies, and then the Mercy Pocket as well, getting Funny Astro out of there.
It's going to be on the ground, the Coalition's out from Kodak as they continue trying to push into this Bastion. So you basically got a 2v2 in the skies and a 4v4 on the ground, and in the case of the 4v4 with the Amplification Matrix and the Immortality Field running, Atlanta Academy don't have a clean approach to Doha.
And there are 2 fronts to this battle. One where the Bastion is, and another 2v2 in the skies where Sparkle is keeping Sugar Free busy, and vice versa. As that's happening, it really comes down to, can the Bastion stay alive? Is Doha able to survive against the tide of the rest of Atlanta? And this could be where the advantage is gained.
That's important because what they've been missing is getting Sugar Free to pressure the Bastion as well. They need it to be a 2-pronged defensive, and this time Unique hard res Sparkle. Doha goes into that tank mode. Hawk does also go down to the Gravitic Flux from Hanbin, but they have unlocked Sugar Free in some capacity. That's what they've been waiting for. Now they're going to make it count. Goes right on top with the Rocket Barrage. That's at least Doha found. Immortality Field coming up clutch, but MCD will still get dropped now. Unique with that Valkyrie running, can't quite find a res, but Sparkle just comes back the manual way, only one before he goes down, and Sugar Free still in the skies, finishes off Unique. That's going to be Atlanta Academy finally finding the approach they needed to the Bastion and capping this point.
Hamden got bamboozled there, man. He wasn't looking in the right direction. You just see Sugar Free like a hawk diving down from the skies, stealing away Doha like a small child, and Hamden, he had the ability to stop all the damage. Didn't happen until it was too late. Doha goes down, Sparkle then rejoins the fight a little bit too late to be able to really contribute. Only Ken Gator, that's not going to be enough.
An interesting thing that the Pharah v Pharah does here is it changes where exactly Element Mystic will next set up on this. They're more or less going to set up on this high ground, but again, Sugar Free can make this interesting, but not anymore. Now that he's dead, they do get the res in, but this is giving Sparkle space.
And almost denied the res as well. You saw the concussive blast come through. You may end up just denying the res by killing Sugar Free again. That works just as well, but here comes the flux.
And he's almost got to just ignore Sparkle for a moment and get these bullets onto Doha where they got the chance, but unfortunately that chance is now evaporated as Doha also finds Saucy out and has not taken any further pressure since that gravitic flux, and a couple of rockets landing from Sugar Free. This is looking like it's going to be Atlanta Academy just stalled up for the time being.
You also see Doha's firing angle there. He's able to have the supporting suppressive fire against Sugar Free and Funny Astra, so it's not even technically a true 2v2. It's like a 2v3 almost.
And I like how Element Mystic are using this. They're very aware of that concept we were talking about, that they functionally split this fight into a 2v2 and a 4v4. But they can set up a crossfire with the two. If it's not Sparkle hitting you, it's Doha hitting you, and Sugar Free doesn't know which way to look.
And Sparkle's been winning most of these duels so far. That's 3 for him.
Look at him go. Saucy, though, out of nowhere from absolutely nothing at all. They pick up 3. The heartbreaker is, it's probably not enough. Sparkle, hold up, doesn't finish off that kill, goes down a little bit. Did Atlanta Academy actually get back on this payload? It looks like they do, at least for now.
And that's incredible because Sparkle walked away with like 4 or 5 kills out of all the possible members. Yeah, Saucy got 3 of them as well, and EM are the ones that end up having to walk away. Let's take a look at Saucy again.
This was just absolutely absurd. Look at how little health he had before he committed to it, but he saw the opportunity, realized, hold up, these are all killable for me, and now keeping that pressure on is Saucy. They also get rid of the immortality field, so despite the amplification matrix, they can still push through it and take out Doha's Bastion. Suddenly, Element Mystic are not looking as clean. They aren't just completely leaps and bounds ahead of Atlanta Academy, who are starting to figure EM out.
That was a little rough because you did also see Doha maintaining that tank form ultimate. Loses it now because it's going over to the Reaper. Sparkle on the Doomfist as well. Sugar Free now moving over to the mate. We're moving to a completely separate part of the map.
Yeah.
And you're right, Sugar Free is going to match.
What that actually was, Sugar Free wanted the May, of course, in this closed space if they were against the Bastion. They see no Bastion. Let's get on to our own Doomfist as well. So they're forced to swap out from Element Mystic. Now, can they just win the mirror? Sugar Free, 1 for 1 now as Sparkle finds Sugar Free, but Hawk does the same with Hanbin, and still advantage to Atlanta Academy, just leaning on their supercharger. Alpha does have his down as well, but they're not quite getting the same value. Now Alpha's one is gone, and Atlanta Academy pushing into Element Mystic very forcefully.
And Doha is just unfortunately not getting the same value as Saucy, who has his Death Blossom again. Element Mystic have to walk away from this one, knowing that they have one last stretch of road to defend, one last bit of this castle. And this defense may just be as ruined as the castle pretty soon if they're not too careful. Atlanta giving away a bit of space.
The real unfortunate thing there was the late death on Kodak. Otherwise, Atlanta Academy could have actually continued on the cart. Instead, now Element Mystic at least get to set up on this corner. This is a big boon for them, and there's not a whole lot of time on the clock. They could still get a lot done on this defense. Beam battle to come out to begin with. Now let's see who comes out the better end. Gator's already down. That means Sparkle goes, yeah, I fancy myself a pick. Let's see if I can separate off these DPSs. But no, he finds himself in the wrong end of that one. Hawk down though, so it's still advantage Element Mystic. And it is Saucy somewhat pulled back now. I do see Atlanta Academy just retreating for the time being.
Definitely too greedy from Sparkle there. He actually sees Sugar Free walking out the room, decides to media strike. He knows Sugar Free's coming back to get that punish on him. EM still win anyway, so I guess at the end of the day, they'll be able to be happy with the current state of the game. 120 left remaining. Atlanta need a little bit more time if they want to cap, but they don't have it.
And we talked about, hey, they beat the Bastion strat. Can they beat in the mirror matchup? Sugar Free into deep. Was hoping, I think, to get that sound barrier at his back, but it just wasn't there in time. And now Element Mystic deconstructing Atlanta Academy, who will come into the next fight a few ultimates down and only leaner in terms of the clock.
Doha just asserting his dominance there against Atlanta Academy.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Like you said, I'm being civil about it. Less than 50 seconds remaining now. Sugar Free, the first one back alive, the first one dead in the previous fight. looks to do a little more in this series so far because it's been a lot about Sparkle, and Sugar Free's got a lot to live up to if he wants to match Sparkle.
I want to see what Atlanta Academy can get done this time with the Supercharger. They've actually had a lot of quite high mileage ones, often getting a little bit more than what Alpha has. And something has to get them back with momentum.
Superchargers on both sides. I think that's going to be the key ultimate for both of these teams now. Both of them used.
That's a bit of an awkward one from Doha, but looking to get in the back line. Does have a Death Blossom. Sugar Free finds out Doha from downtown! Picks up 3, hung around in that back line for a lot longer than I was anticipating before he hit the go button. And now that he has, now Element Mystic are going to press the stop button, putting the brakes on Atlanta Academy. The payload, it's going to get a tiny bit more courtesy of Kodak, but I see Element Mystic keeping this one under lock and key in the overtime.
And just wait for it though, ATL still respawning. What can they do here? Gator now on the Wrecking Ball. CO wasn't lying. Hawk's still alive though. Can he do something about this?
Gator not on the Wrecking Ball for long though, unfortunately, and neither can Hawk do much about it. So 44.12 meters is the be-all, end-all of what Atlanta Academy will accomplish on Eichenwalde. It was a little bit tricky to start with against the Bastion, then just when they got on top of that, they couldn't quite continue that momentum into C on the mirror matchup.
And I think you have to anticipate Bastion if we're going to Eichenwalde, right? And by the way, this is Atlanta's pick because they lost the first map, and Element Mystic's like, okay, it's time to bring it out. But we saw in the Overwatch League, this has been a Bastion map. This has been also a Pharah map. Both of those things, I think Element Mystic really had some strong execution on, specifically Sparkle on that Pharah. It was outclassing Sugar Free for the most part. You also have a case now where, okay, the A and B points were very difficult. If A and B were a little smoother, I do see Atlanta finishing the map, taking us to a time bank because they lost so much time on A and B though, they just did not have enough to be able to push through on C.
A little bit rough. It puts a lot of pressure on their defense, of course, because they could well find themselves 0-2 down. Now, unsurprisingly, Atlanta Academy going to run their own Bastion Pharah on the defense. Now we get to see how well Element Mystic can deconstruct the strategy they themselves just used.
And I predict that Sparkle will be going back onto the Pharah here. If you know you were winning those 1v1/2v2s before, you know you can probably do it again. But we'll see what Saucy's supporting fire from the high ground will do for his own team. We'll see what Atlanta Academy have prepared in terms of a Bastion defense as well.
Whew, all right, I'm going to take a breather here. I think that was a pretty exciting push on the whole. Atlanta Academy maybe not as far as they wanted to get. Defense, though, could be a real boon for them. But we're starting to have this thing where it feels like time and again Atlanta Academy are having to be the ones to measure up. Sparkle's low already.
We're waiting to see if Doa's going to make an opening shot on the Widowmaker as well, just kind of scouting there. Sparkle, like you mentioned, does need to be at least a little bit careful on his first approach.
Already 30% ult charge for Sugar Free thanks to those hits onto Sparkle. I mean, I guess that's mirrored and unique getting a good bit of ult charge as well, but you definitely value the rocket barrage more.
First concussive blast from Sparkle, not going to be able to dislocate Atlanta Academy, at least for now. It's going to be the Immortality Field already used for MCD.
Yeah, they're just deciding to mirror this composition. It's one of the ways you can do this. You sort of slowly march the Bastion forward. But I'll be honest, Element Mystic have got through the harder parts of the rotation. But since Sugar Free doesn't have to care about the rotating team, he's going to go find Sparkle instead.
Yeah, and he's got to camp the body as well. Oh, that's a big mistake from Unique.
Boom.
Truck and trailer is what I call that one. The Pharah and the Mercy both going away 6v4 now. Worse still, EM are stuck. They've already rotated slightly into ATL.
That's the problem now if you're EM. You actually can't pressure this Bastion anymore. It's that numbers game. It's that 2v2s, 4v4 we were talking about. Ideally, you want to win the 2v2 so you can have a 6v4, but that 6v4 is in favor of Atlanta Academy. Element Mystic just had to try wind Sparkle up for another go-around, while the 4v4 is committed to. That's a nice amplification matrix from MCD. Funny how Joe loses the Immortality Field, and that means Saucy and the rest are open game. Something, fish in a barrel. Meanwhile, in the skies, not looking like these birds are going to be flying a whole lot longer. The fish and the birds, and I guess the bees, I don't know what else. All the animals in the kingdom are dead, including Gator.
You see that engagement there with the two Bastions. It's like two battleships coming up to each other, broadside cannons firing at full blast. At the end of the day, though, the firepower from Element Mystic a little too much for ATL to be able to handle. You saw the amplification matrix just adding the difference there. Despite the 2v2 happening, Element Mystic won the real fight.
For Sugar Free, it feels like that scene at the end of that Pirates of the Caribbean movie where the captain's walking down the ship railings while the whole thing's just being blasted to bits around him. Because he's out in the middle of nowhere like, Well, I guess we're
Be
sunk.
in deep water soon. Oh, nearly misses the double midi. Oh, gets the next one though.
What a rocket from Sparkle, and unresable for Kodak, especially now that he's dead. The fact that Sparkle also got 2 kills with that barrage before Saucy actually had the line on him is nuts, because Sparkle just gets res back anyway.
Unreal performance there. Get on my level. What he's trying to say over to the other side. You're in Korea now. It's not North America anymore. Atlanta have a lot of work to do still. 4 ultimates available is certainly good news. Sugar Free now. Just have to dust that off. You have to go next.
All right, what have you got left in the tank here, Atlanta Academy? They've popped down the supercharger already, just trying to leverage that. But Doa's got such a wacky angle here, man. They keep finding good spots for him. He himself does have a tank form up in the air, though. Woo! Saucy finds that shot as Doha was raised in the air by the Gravitic Flux of Hawk. So nice play between the two. And I asked, what do they have left back in the tank? Atlanta Academy with a very nice combo, forcing the swap now from Element Mystic.
Strangely enough as well, Doa actually didn't use his own tank form. You get to see it now from Saucy's POV. Looking up, the Flux combo as well is really the cherry on top, because that is what lifts everyone up to allow Saucy to get the angle on the rest of EM, who now have to abandon the Bastion because they do not control this card and they have to find another way. This could actually be where Element Mystic gets held. If you're an NA fan right now, you better believe ATL have to hold B if they want to win Eichenwalde.
Hawk was sitting there looking at Doha like, yo, you want high ground? I'll give you some high ground. I'll take you as high as you can go, man. Almost as high as that Farah. Now Sugar Free uncontested.
Almost as high as the moon. Horizon Ludicolo, next map, you hit it first.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Like I said, Sugar Free uncontested in the skies with that rocket barrage. Going to throw that out onto Unique, give themselves a numbers advantage. Meanwhile, Alpha goes down to the trained guns of Saucy. He does get picked off, but Kodak will go for the res there, I'm sure.
Oh, they need to prevent this one if possible. Doa's actually still in this one fairly deep, and look, EM probably not going to get too much done here. The res does come down on Hawk. Saucy already respawned, should be able to rejoin his team momentarily. And the work is undone here. EM unfortunately now have to re-engage to get Saucy back down, and that is really the key piece of that defense. Saucy's got to go ASAP.
And that's the thing, because of where the cart is as well, Atlanta Academy can just keep, I mean, they're basically literally playing gate guard right now, right in front of that shut door of the point B of Eichenwalde. They just kind of sat pretty with the Bastion. Element Mystic keep having to walk across that. I mean, this is literally a lesson in medieval defenses, and now one in siege offenses. Element Mystic have the dam busting approach. Look at those cannons fire. Element Mystic gonna get that payload back underway now, marching across the moat.
Gravitic Flux giveth and taketh away in this regard. On one side, it allowed Saucy to get the kill onto Doa and get the defense going, but on the other end, Element Mystic will use that to potentially cap B.
Doa's in such a great position here. Oh, a little bit awkward there. I think he was expecting to be a bit lower down when he pressed that button. It's a 1-for-1 so far. That actually means Atlanta Academy could get something done. Sugar Free with the rocket barrage.
Nearly.
It's even numbers, but Hawk, he's got the Gravitic Flux still doing the damage, and of course Kodak gets the res back in. It's still numbers favoring Atlanta Academy, just clutching that one back. They're not going to let these castle walls fall today.
This is still doable. This is so defendable for Atlanta. Every second that ticks down makes it so much more difficult for Element Mystic, who have such a long run back distance, about a minute now. And it's Atlanta that actually have the closer respawns. This is the ideal defending position for them now, especially since Sparkle used the Blizzard earlier. Yes, it was pretty effective, got gated down, but unfortunately Sugar Free was flying sky high.
And now this is the second time that work at taking out Saucy has been effectively undone. Certainly in a different kind of way, but Saucy now with the firing line. It's a nice ice wall. They get rid of the immortality field. Bunny Astro down as well. And they've got the health bars to keep pushing onto Saucy, but can they get it done? How does Sugar Free have another one of these already? He finds Alpha with it, and they pick up Sparkle to boot. It is a couple of members down on the side of Atlanta Academy, but honestly, there's far more down for Element Mystic. 20 seconds left, and a long walk back to the cards.
And this is so bad for Element Mystic now. They have to go on to the Wrecking Ball. They need to just get there. Sugar Free's doing the early scouting now. He sees what's coming. Alpha, you'd say, is probably not going to survive too long.
You wouldn't believe so. Bunny Astro has that amplification matrix as well. They're going to be under a lot of pressure as they approach this cart. Nice ice wall though to dislodge Saucy, make it a little bit difficult to have the firing line, but Sugar Free has got plenty of angles to go with here. Looking to get that finish off onto Alpha. He is still alive, but now Saucy, tank form, trying to get the finish off in here. No one down either side. Finally MCD, now Alpha as well as Saucy, able to get the kills through. Atlanta Academy sitting pretty on the payload, protecting the president on the cart, but not the side you'd usually expect that from. That was a masterclass hold for Atlanta Academy.
And that's what you really expect from a team of this caliber. You expect them to bounce back after that first map loss. You know they have the capability. You saw 2 other teams in Group A at least take 1 map. Are you seriously going to do worse than XL2? If you're Atlanta Academy, you say, hell no, we're not. This is going to be a match. This is going to be a great one.
And so critical as well. Imagine that other universe, the one where they lost this one. They're now 0-2 down to a Korean team, one that you might say they had a solid chance of beating, but this completely shifts up the narrative again. Now they are even. We expected as much, but it is now here. It's real, and Atlanta Academy genuinely have the chance to be Korea Slayers.
Here we go. Brad's got the smile on his face as well. Atlanta, fight back, bite one back. We knew they had the capability, and we know they can still do more.
1-1, all tied up. Can Atlanta Academy pick it up? Who's going to take it to match point first? Because that's the one that comes up after this break. Definitely stick around.